Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, south thinkers of the podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida, and today's date is Friday, August 25th, 2017. Another rainy day in Fort Lauderdale. Flash flood warnings are in effect, or watch, it's in effect until Saturday morning. So you folks in this area, please be safe. And to our brothers and sisters out in Texas, especially mainly the Corpus Christi area and along that Gulf coastline, be safe from Hurricane Harvey. I know it's supposed to be a Category 3 hurricane at any time. It's a high 2. So bunker down, prep up, and folks in those areas, work as a team. Toss the differences to the side and stand together. We don't want to see anyone getting seriously injured by any means, and plus let the feds know and FEMA know you got it under control. Work with us, not against us. A la New Orleans. I haven't forgotten that 12 years ago. Alright, I am at CJ's Java Lounge located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, Suite 1 along the New River of Fort Lauderdale. It's in the Yacht Club, southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. Yeah, you hear some music in the background, and I'm not sanctioned by any means. I'm not licensed or anything like that. It's just I'm at the coffee lounge. Pretty quiet along the New River. All this rain is hurting people, folks' revenue, but sometimes it happens. The one good thing too, a lot of this rain will help to green up the area. I never have any complaints on it. Yeah, so there's some talks about articles of impeachment, which Cohen did, which is nothing more than a freedom-hating stooge. Anyway, he's trying to blame him for the whole Charlottesville thing. Like, give me a break. Tells you one thing, it's called another political witch hunt. However, he should be talking about some of the other things in reference to foreign policy, but according to his track record, some of his lackeys, they have that same mindset. God bless imperialism. So, this is got first one here is going to be came out of NewsBuds. This is an exclusive for member content only. This is written by Kurt Nemo, came out yesterday. Trump's Afghan war based on Neocon lies. And as it reads here, standing before a podium at the Fort Myer military base in Arlington, Virginia, President Trump addressed an audience of soldiers on August 21st. Trump said, "The consequences of an exit from Afghanistan are both predictable and unacceptable. 9/11, the worst terrorist attack in our history, was planned and directed from Afghanistan because that country was ruled by a government that gave comfort and shelter to terrorists. A hasty withdrawal would create a vacuum that terrorists, including ISIS and Al-Qaeda, would instantly fill, just as it happened before September 11th. What the hell are you talking about? I will continue on here. In order to believe this, facts must be put aside and the official version of events be unquestionably accepted. There is no evidence of the attack on September 11th was planned and directed from Afghanistan." Then the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, said 2 weeks after the attack, he would, in the near future, put out a document that will describe in quietly clear evidence that we have linking Osama bin Laden to this attack. So you understand what's going on here, folks? They're trying to do things backwards. Once again, doing the Vladimir Lenin rhetoric. The more times you tell that same lie, it will become truth. This is, I call, Bobbleism 101. I will proceed. However, the following day, during a press conference in the Rose Garden with President Bush, Powell said the American people will not be permitted to see the evidence. Why? Because you're special? He added the United States had irrefutable proof of Obama's complicity, but most of it is classified. Powell's remarks was an effort to conceal the fact that the Bush administration had no evidence. Osama bin Laden planned and orchestrated the attack from a cave in Afghanistan. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh cited officials from the CIA and the Justice Department saying there was no solid evidence of this. And if you remember, the FBI, he was even on the FBI's most wanted list for September 11th, made by USS Cole and many others, but never for the attacks on September 11th. In 1998, following the U.S. Embassy bombings in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and Nairobi, Kenya, the Taliban government offered to turn over bin Laden, but the Bush administration refused. Waqi Ahmad Mutalaki, the Taliban foreign minister, told Al Jazeera his government had made several proposals to the United States to turn over the Saudi to stand trial. Even before the 9/11 attacks, our Islamic Emirate has tried through various proposals to resolve the Obama issue. One such proposal was set up to a three-nation court or something under the supervision of the Organization of Islamic Conference, OIC, Mutalaki said, but the U.S. showed no interest in it. They kept demanding we hand them over, but we had no relations with the U.S., no agreement of any sort. They did not recognize our government. After Taliban made proposals through the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan and informal Taliban office at the UN in New York, the CIA station chief in Pakistan, Robert Grenier, dismissed the offer as a ploy. In mid-September 2001, Grenier had a secret meeting with Mullah Akhtar Mohammad Azami, considered the second most powerful figure in the Taliban at the time, at a five-star hotel in the Pakistani province of Balochistan. He said if the Taliban were serious about avoiding a U.S. invasion, they would turn over bin Laden immediately for prosecution. Alternatively, as CIA Director George Tenet put it, the Taliban could administer justice themselves in a way that clearly takes them off the table. In other words, the CIA wanted the Taliban to assassinate bin Laden. The ultimatum was rejected by Taliban leader Mullah Omar. Following this, during a second meeting at a villa in Balochistan, Grenier and said Osami should overthrow Omar and get rid of Osama bin Laden. This was also rejected. Osama was later killed by a smart bomb during the attack of the U.S. Air Force in Helmand province. The reclusive Omar had previously attempted to establish a dialogue with the United States in response to an inquiry to bin Laden's alleged terror activities prior to the September 11th attack. A cable sent by the United States to Omar stated, we detailed and solid evidence that Osama bin Laden had been engaged and is still engaged in planning, organizing, and fund-backing of international terror. The U.S. did not provide supporting evidence to back the accusation, and this resulted in the Afghan Supreme Court acquitting bin Laden in October 1998. A few months earlier, in August 1998, President Bill Clinton ordered the bombing of a Sudanese pharmaceutical factory in retaliation for the Osama embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. The U.S. insisted the Al-Shifa factory in Cordoba was actually a disguised chemical weapons factory that produced VX nerve gas. British engineer Thomas Carnarvon, who worked as a technical manager during the plant's construction between 1992 and 96, told reporters he never saw any evidence of the production of an ingredient needed for nerve gas. The attack violated numerous articles of the Hague Convention. Excuse me. One of us. I don't know. Sometimes I got to pronounce these more correctly. Please help me out there when you have a chance. Moreover, the owner of the Shifa factory gave interviews in which emphatically denied that the plant was used for anything other than pharmaceuticals, and there was never persuasive evidence to contradict his assertion. At the same time, members of the administration retreated from claims they made earlier that Osama bin Laden had what Defense Secretary William Cohen called a financial interest in contributing to this particular facility. It turned out that there was no direct financial relationship between bin Laden and the plant, could be established, writes Richard Bernstein in his book, Out of the Blue, a narrative of September 11, 2001. The factory was Sudan's largest commercial manufacturer of prescription drugs for both medical and veterinary purposes, producing 50% of the country's supply. Probably the most important was an anti-diarrhea remedy. They also made drugs against TB, and they brought in the basic stock for antibiotics. Bernarfin explained, it was estimated the destruction of the plant resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of Sudanese. I concluded the security threats we face in Afghanistan and the broader region are immense. Today, 20 U.S. designated foreign terrorist attack organizations are active in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the highest concentration in the region anywhere in the world, Trump said during his address. The numbers cited by Trump is inaccurate. It is not based on the State Department's list of foreign terrorist organizations. Instead, it is based on congressional testimony by General Joseph L. Votto, commander of the U.S. Central Command. There are 20 U.S. designated terrorist organizations, FTOs, present today in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Votto told the House Armed Services Committee on March 15th. In fact, the State Department lists 13 out of 20. Trump's claim about the highest concentration of terrorists in the world is also fallacious. The Islamic State operated in Syria and Iraq have more active members than all groups in Afghanistan and Pakistan combined. In April, the U.S. dropped a GBU-43B massive ordnance air blast bomb on a tunnel complex in Achin district of Nangarhar province, Afghanistan. The U.S. said the target was a Khorasan group, also called as ISIS-K, alleged to comprise of former members of the Taliban Pakistan and the Afghan Taliban. The U.S. claimed the group was also active in Syria, while the Islamic State group ISIS is getting the most attention now. Another brand of extremists in Syria, a mix of hardened jihadists from Afghanistan, Yemen, Syria, and Europe, poses more a direct and imminent threat to the United States, working with the Yemeni bomb makers to target U.S. aviation, American officials said, Reuters reported in November 2014. It turns out the Khorasan group is a fabrication. You haven't heard of the Khorasan group because there isn't one. It is the name of the Obama administration came up with, calculating that Khorasan has sufficient connection to jihadists, more that no one will call the president on it. Andrew McCarthy wrote for the National Review, "We are being had again. I've certainly never heard of this group while working at the agency," said Aki Peretz, a former CIA counterterrorism official. "We use the term Khorasan inside the government. We don't know where it came from. All I know is that we don't call themselves that," admitted Obama former U.S. ambassador to Syria Robert Ford. As usual, anonymity was granted to U.S. officials to make these claims. As usual, there are almost no evidence for any of this. Nonetheless, American media outlets, eager, as always, to justify American wars, spewed all of this with very little skepticism, writes Glenn Greenwald. President Trump, taking talking points from this general in the Pentagon, is repeating lies and fabrications about the supposed threat to the homeland posed by terrorist propaganda, initially cooked up by the Bush neocons as a pretext to invade Afghanistan and Iraq. General William Crennan, Commander-in-Chief of the Joint Forces Command, said the invasion of Afghanistan was planned well before the 9/11 attack. The details of the operation during freedom of Afghanistan, which fought the Taliban and Al-Qaeda after the September 11 attacks, were largely taken from a scenario examined by the General Command in May 2001, he told Angus France Press in July 2002. So you see what's been going on, people being played. Alright, this is what the part of the New World Order agenda is about. And I will proceed. Omitted from the discussion is in the fact that the United States supported the Taliban between 1994 and 1997. John J. Reska, Vice President of Unicol, in testimony before a House of Representatives committee on February 12, 1998, mentioned an untapped hydrocarbon reserves in the Caspian region and talked up a plan to build a pipeline through Afghanistan as the most cost-effective route for transporting oil to the Asian market. The primary reason for Washington's support of the Taliban between 1994 and 1997 was an expectation that they would swiftly conquer the whole country, enabling Neocon to build a pipeline through Afghanistan, writes Karen Tobin. What's interesting too, I gotta be very sincere. I remember William Cooper did talk about this as well as the pipeline on September 11th. After September 11th, about this whole oil pipeline. Then, of course, the mainstream guy, Michael Moore, on Fahrenheit 9/11, had made that point, which it has merit. But overall, wasn't really impressed with the movie, but that made sense. That was spot on. So I will continue on here. The Taliban demanded Neocon rebuild the infrastructure in Afghanistan and allow them to access the oil in several places as part of the deal. The demand was rejected by Neocon. In subsequent negotiations, the U.S. representative told the Taliban, either you accept your offer of a carpet of gold or we bury you under a carpet of bombs, according to Jean-Charles Bissard, co-author of Bin Laden, The Forbidden Truth. In fact, the Bush administration planned to invade Afghanistan well before September 11th. Pakistani Foreign Secretary Naiz Malik said he was told by senior American officials during a meeting with Pakistani and Russian intelligence officers at Berlin Hotel in the summer of 2001 that military action to overthrow the Taliban in Afghanistan was planned to take place before the snows started falling in Afghanistan. By the middle of October, at the latest, part of the plan was to kill Osama bin Laden and Taliban leader Mullah Omar. Establishment media news reports in the wake of Trump's address largely failed to mention his plans to exploit Afghanistan's bounty of mineral wealth. The United States Geological Survey studied a decade ago identified deposits estimated to have potential value of more than $1 trillion. Deposits include gold, silver, platinum, iron ore, uranium, zinc, tantalum, bauxite, coal, natural gas, and copper. It said Afghanistan has the potential to become the Saudi Arabia of lithium, a crucial element used in phones and electric car batteries. Well, interesting about that, if you read The Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski, he put some of that in light in his book, which came out in 1997. So, folks, you gotta read it, man. Trust me. Read it. You'll be amazed, okay? So, Trump's war in Afghanistan has nothing to do with an honorable and enduring outcome worthy of the enormous price as so many have paid, but rather is based on the profits of Wall Street and transitional corporations. Moreover, America's longest war represents a long-term business opportunity for the military-industrial complex and, as well, provides further justification for obscene outlays to the Pentagon as it continues its pursuit on the manufactured war on terror designed to last indefinitely. You see that, my friends. The more things change, the more stays the same. How come the people in Congress aren't talking about this? They're worried about him making those comments on Charlottesville, which I have to agree with him on. If you get offended, too bad. This is bigger. But remember, both Democrats and Republicans, they bent over, spread their butt cheeks to the military-industrial complex, and also elements to the New World Order. So this is why you have to remain vigilant. Don't look at these individuals as your idols. That's why big political presidential campaigns are looking for a king and queen to rule over us. That's clearly unacceptable. And he goes, "Oh, God bless this country." Yeah, so Trump, with all due respect, you gotta go up there and go, "Yes, I say God bless the New World Order." So do yourself a favor, buddy. Tweet stuff on this. Because I'll tell you one thing, it will backfire when you disrespect it. And it doesn't matter who's on your side, Democrats or Republicans, they're using each other to get political power so they can belly up to the military-industrial complex, which I say, hell no. So do yourself a favor, stand down, Mr. Trump, on the Afghan war. Stand down. Hashtag that, my friends. and anything considers imperialism, which President Trump is trying to address for freedom. Just like his predecessor, Barack Hussein Obama. So speaking of that, this one just came from the Global Research, came out yesterday as well by Professor Mikhail Charlowski, and he does some good work, even though some people say he's a little bit progressive, but it has some merit too. I'm going to add, and it says here, more American troops in Afghanistan keep Chinese out. Lithium and battle for Afghanistan's mineral riches. There's here Trump's call for escalation of the war in Afghanistan. Why? Is part of the global war on terrorism. Going after the bad guys, or is it something else? Unknown to the broader public, Afghanistan has significant oil, natural gas, and strategic raw material resources. Not to mention opium, a multi-billion-dollar industry which feeds America's illegal heroin market. These mineral reserves include huge veins of iron, copper, cobalt, gold, and lithium, which is a strategic raw material used in production for high-tech batteries for laptops, cell phones, and electric cars. The implication of Trump's resolve is to plunder and steal Afghanistan's mineral riches to finance the reconstruction of a country destroyed by the U.S. and its allies after 16 years of war, i.e., war reparations paid to the aggressor nation. And there's a little screenshot on the Independent. Donald Trump eyes Afghanistan's $1 trillion mineral reserves to pay for reconstruction after 16 years of war. In a Journal 2007 Pentagon memo quoted by the New York Times suggests that Afghanistan could become the Saudi Arabia of lithium. See, you see those both articles you have something in common, correct? As for the New York Times, U.S. identified vast mineral riches in Afghanistan, New York Times. That's on June 14, 2010. See also BBC 14, June 2010. See also Michael Charlowski's Global Research 2010. While it could take many years to develop a mining industry, the potential is so great that officials and executives in the industry believe that it could attract heavy investment. There's a stunning potential here. General David H. Petraeus, commander of the U.S. Central Command, said there are lots of ifs, of course, but I think potentially is hugely significant. Remember, David H. Petraeus was involved with the Bilderberg Group. Yay! He was a Bilderberg attendee. How sweet, right? This will become a backbone of the Afghan economy, said Jaleh Jumirani, an advisor to the Afghan Minister of Mines. That's from the New York Times. What this 2007 report does not mention is that the resource base has been known to both Russia, Soviet Union, and China going back to the 1970s. While Afghan government is President Ashraf Ghani has called upon President Trump to promote U.S. investments in mining, including lithium, China is in the forefront in developing projects in mining and energy, as well as pipeline projects and transport corridors. China is a major trading and investment partner with Afghanistan, alongside with Russia and Iran, which potentially encroaches U.S. upon economic and strategic interests in Central Asia. China's intent is to eventually integrate land transportation through the historic Rakan corridor, which links to Afghanistan to China's Xinjiang-Uyghur autonomous region. There's a map below that. So they're right near China. That's interesting, right? So something to really look at. And it says here, Afghanistan estimated $3 trillion in $3 trillion worth of unexploited minerals. Chinese companies have acquired rights to extract vast quantities of copper and coal and snapped up the first oil exploration concessions granted to foreigners in decades. China is also eyeing extensive deposits on lithium, use of its range from batteries to nuclear components. The Chinese are also investing in hydropower, agriculture, and construction. A direct road link to China across the remote 36-kilometer border between the two countries is in progress, as from the New Delhi Times. Afghanistan has extensive oil reserves which are being exploited by China's Natural Petroleum Corporation, CNPC. So the corridor is like right there. You can see it like a little panhandle in Afghanistan, and it goes right next to China. So that's really interesting. You got a bunch of neighbors, right? Interesting neighbors here. And of course, Afghan had a little article from Mining News in August 2010. Afghanistan oil mining. Afghanistan's mining ministry has announced the discovery of a huge new oil field on that could be 10 times the size of the nation's 150 million barrels of previously known reserve. Suffice to say that America might have yet another reason to hang around. Afghanistan discovered an oil field containing an estimated 1.8 billion barrels of crude north of the country, a mines ministry official said. War is good business. The U.S. military bases are there to assert U.S. control of Afghanistan mineral wealth. According to Foreign Affairs, there are more U.S. military forces deployed there in Afghanistan than to any other active combat zone. Official mandate of which is to go farther, go after the Taliban, Al Qaeda, and ISIS, part of the global war on terrorism. So why so many military bases? Why additional forces sent by Trump? Unspoken objective of U.S. military presence in Afghanistan is to keep the Chinese out, i.e., hinder China from establishing trade and investment relations with China. More generally, the establishment of military bases in Afghanistan on China's western border is part of a broader process of military encirclement on the People's Republic of China, i.e., naval deployments in the South China Sea, military facilities in Guam, South Korea, Okinawa, Jeju Island, etc. There's a map on here too, U.S. military in the West Pacific. It is really a lot of stuff, I would say, a lot of bases. We'll continue on here. Pivot to Asia. Under the Afghan-U.S. security pact established under Obama's Asian pivot, Washington and its NATO partners have established a permanent military presence in Afghanistan with military facilities located close to China's western frontier. The pact was intended to allow the U.S. to maintain their 9 permanent military bases strategically located on the borders of China, Pakistan, and Iran, as well as Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. And there's a thing on there, NATO and Afghanistan. So just to let you guys, you see that for yourselves. U.S. military presence, however, has not prevented the expansion of trade and investment relations between China and Afghanistan. Strategic partnership agreement was signed between Kabul and Beijing in 2012. Afghanistan has observer status in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO. Moreover, neighboring Pakistan, which is now a full member of the CSO, has established a close bilateral relationship with China, and now Donald Trump is threatening Pakistan, for which many years has been a target of America's undeclared drone war. Moreover, neighboring Pakistan, which is now a full in other words, a shift in the geopolitical alignment has taken place which favors the integration of Afghanistan alongside Pakistan into the Eurasian trade, investment, and energy access. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and China are cooperating in oil and gas pipelines project. The CSO, of which Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan are full members, providing geopolitical platform for the integration of Afghanistan into the Eurasian energy and transport corridors. Like I said, folks, you gotta read The Grand Chessboard by the late Zygmunt Brzezinski. This is so obvious. China is eventually intent upon integrating Afghanistan into the transport network of Western China as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Moreover, China's state-owned mining giant Metallurgical Corporation of China Limited, or MCC, has already managed to take control of a huge copper deposit, Ena, which lies in the area controlled by the Taliban. Already in 2010, Washington feared that resource-hungry China will try to dominate the development of Afghanistan's mineral wealth, which would upset the United States. After winning the bid for his Ena copper mine in Logar province in China, clearly wants more. It's from mining.com. China and the battle for lithium. China mining conglomerates are now competing for strategic control of the global lithium market, which until recently controlled by the big 3 conglomerates, including Albemarle, Rockwood Lithium, North Carolina, the Sociedad Química y Minería de Chile, and FMC Corporation, Philadelphia, which operates in Argentina, while the big three dominates the market. The China now accounts for large shares of global lithium production, categorized as the fourth largest lithium producing country, behind Australia, Chile, and Argentina. Meanwhile, China's Tangri Group has taken control of Australia's largest lithium mine called Greenbushes. TeknoAXE now owns a 51% stake, advertising its lithium partnership with North Carolina's Albemarle. This thrust in lithium production is related to China's rapid development of the electric car industry. China is now the center of lithium universe. China is already the largest market for electric cars. BYD, a Chinese company backed by Warren Buffett, is the largest EV manufacturer in the world, and Chinese companies are producing the largest amount of lithium chemicals for the batteries. There are 25 companies which are making 51 miles of electric cars in China now. This year, we will see over 500,000 EVs sold in China. It took GM 7 years to sell 100,000 Chevy Volts from 2009. BYD will sell 100,000 EVs this year alone. That's from Mine.com, November 2016 report. The size of the reserves of lithium in Afghanistan have not been firmly established. Analysts believe that these reserves, which are yet to be exploited, will now have a significant impact on the global lithium market. So this is going to be very interesting. All it is, my friends, is called the mineral wars. And it's been happening even in North Korea as well. And they had little ordeals in Africa, so this is more like the battle of natural resources. I'll tell you one thing, if that happens, it will really screw up those land masses big time. Guarantee you that. So it's all about the econo wars, trade wars, economic wars. Of course, hey, great example. I'll say it once again, Grand Chessboard by Zygmunt Brzezinski. Read it. I already posted on there enough times. You can look it up yourselves, my friends. This is one crazy world. What's happening? That's why you never believe the hype. You always focus on the fine print. So, it may sound a little progressive for some, but you know what? To be very sincere, it has a good amount of merit. That's why I try to look at both sides of this this argument. And what can we say, man? New World Order 101 at its finest. Control the masses. The corporate wars. Right? Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, well, this next one I want to read here came from the McAlchie DC Bureau. I believe it came out. Yeah, it came out a couple of days ago. Yeah, this one here says September 11th stumbles on documents so secret the judge can't see them for now, by Karen Rosenberg. Guantanamo Bay Navy Base, Cuba. In a bizarre new episode of the September 11th trial, defense lawyers wrote a legal brief based on documents from the prosecution that are so far so secret the judge can't see them. Death penalty defender Jay Cornell described the ongoing problem Monday at an opening for week-long pre-trial hearings in a case against 5 men accused of conspiring in September 11th hijacking that nearly killed 3,000 people in New York at the Pentagon and in a Pennsylvania field. He said he sought, starting June 7th, to file a top-secret legal pleading, 10 accompanying notices, supported by 5,000 pages of documents, but the court security officer would not take them because they had unfamiliar classification markings in them. Based on court discussion, Cornell appeared to be asking the judge to call certain experts and government witnesses on the question of when the war on terror began. Also, he appears seeking experts to testify on the reliability of post-torture interrogation in a bid to disqualify any confessions his client, Ammar al-Bashir, made to FBI agents who after he got to Guantanamo in 2006. There's a video on here too as well, so you folks should really check it out. 59 seconds long, of course. I will continue on here. Prosecutors who provided Cornell with material in new trial preparations were trying to figure out if the judge and his security staff needed security clearance to see it. Cornell was puzzled. If he presumably had clearance to see the material, how could the judge not? As I understood the problem, Cornell, there's a possibility that some of these compartments that have been disestablished, and the reason that the trial judiciary asked me to get classification review as what was to find out to these compartments still exist. If so, what is their current name so they can seek a read-on for you or for me or for whoever. Trial Judge Army Colonel James Hall expressed similar bewilderment in an ongoing effort by prosecutors to figure out whether the judge and his staff had been cleared. Attorney David Nevin, defending the alleged 9/11 plotter, said Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was disturbed on Sunday to learn about the ongoing issue. Nevin quoted Mohammed as telling him Sunday, "I'm used to the idea that he can kill me on things I can't see. But now it seems they want to kill me based on the things the judge can't see." Hall expressed discomfort with the characterization that somehow this case is going to be adjudicated with evidence that I don't see. I don't think that's really going to happen. However, he noted Mr. Nevin did make a good point, noting it was an issue of document being marked with a program that nobody's aware of. My office rejected it because we don't know what that program is. Cornell is the Pentagon paid death penalty defender of Mohammed's nephew, Balochi. The trial takes place in a maximum security eavesdrop-proof court compound where the public gets to hear proceedings on a 40-second delay. In case some divulge classified information that only those inside with top secret clearances can hear. This is not the first time this case has stumbled over a clearance problem. In October 2015, the judge required an intelligence agency authorization known as read-on to receive some information as well, and this is the prosecution is working with the intelligence community to identify the programs or agencies responsible for classifying information in Cornell's filings to determine what, if any, authorization the judge and his staff would need. What the hell is this? Can we say right to a fair and public trial? And it's guilty, innocent to proven guilty. They can't have the judge can't even see the evidence. It's all top secret. Why the hell you have this person in there in the first place? Totally unacceptable, illegal, null and void. That, my friends, is the war on terror. They want to do these new little rules and laws that can condition the American people and the rest of the world like Pavlov's dogs, saying the rule of law don't count in our department because we're so special. There's nothing more than a deceptive agenda, plain and simple. Who they made themselves above everybody. They can't. This is nothing more than pure malarkey, and this should be terminated. That's how I gotta look at it. And Carol Rosenberg, she lives in Miami-Dade County. Awesome. So thank you for that article, Ms. Rosenberg. But folks, you gotta really look at this. That's why the war on terror is the war ourselves. Okay, well, this one here is a very morose news. It came from the Los Angeles Daily News. Homelessness came out a couple of days ago as well. It says here, LA's response to homeless encampments isn't working, Councilman says. And this is written by Donna Littlejohn at LA Daily News and Elizabeth Chow by Los Angeles Daily News. And it was like late afternoon, so a couple days ago. And it says here, Amid rising homelessness and mounting outcry from residents and business owners, a Los Angeles City Councilman said Wednesday he wants to take a hard look at the way the city responds to increasing presence of encampments and recreational vehicles. While what we have isn't working, Councilman Mitchell Englander says. In recent months, the issue of homelessness has become inescapable, with residents encountering more homelessness in their neighborhoods, according to the councilman, who represents the Northwest San Fernando Valley. There is no conversation I have, brother. It's fixing the street, trimming a tree, walking to school, or going to a grocery store. Where we don't talk about homelessness, he said. Outside of Los Angeles City Councilman Joe Bassanio's office, ditto, said spokesman Benmer Carvacci. We're very, very conscious of it. Carvacci said it's a battle every day. Englander also had been hearing concerns from city officials tasked with enforcing rules around encampments and recreational vehicles, he said. San Pedro has battled similar issues with encampments rooted around the community's historic post office and waterfront overlook park through Kovacs Point out that other parts of the city, such as Venice, have much bigger problems with homelessness. Robert Nizik, an attorney with offices inside San Bernardino main office, sends out a round-robin email featuring daily photos of sidewalk and park seen outside his office windows. The condition grows worse every day, and nothing is done to permanently solve the issue, he wrote in a recent email. New faces pop up just like their tent. Whack-a-mole does not work. A consistent and sustained effort on a daily basis is required. His intent with emails, which goes out to the city and business leaders every day, is to keep the issue front and center until authorities find a permanent solution to a situation he and others says he's ruining the town. Basically, they occupy the street. Midgets told the Daily Breeze in a January 2016 interview, if they are told to move, they move to the park, cross street, and back again. It ebbs and flows like the ocean. According to Englander, Los Angeles police officers, along with transportation and sanitation officials, say the resources we have and the ordinance we have in place need help in fixing. Los Angeles voters recently passed a pair of tax measures expected to bring more money to build housing and provide services to the city's growing homeless population. But some say changes are happening too slowly. Residents and business owners have taken to social media, such as Saving San Pedro Facebook page, in some cases submitted petitions and organized protests to demand that city leaders enforce existing city policies that are aimed at removing illegally erected encampments and hauling away large vehicles that are improperly parked on city streets. Say he wants to treat the issues of homelessness as a crisis. Englander on Wednesday responded with 4 motions that will take a comprehensive look at current rules and methods for addressing homelessness in Los Angeles. He said he wants to prepare an examination of this city's enforcement policy with efforts to get more homeless people in housing and set up with jobs. 2 more motions introduced Wednesday are aimed at reevaluating a recent adopted policy for regulating homeless encampments. The city last year began enforcing the ordinance known as 56.11, which sets up rules for storage of personal property in the public right-of-way. It requires that city officials give advance notice before taking down homeless encampments and removing their personal property that blocks public sidewalks and areas. That ordinance was enacted to create a balance of the needs of the public to access clean and sanitary public areas consistent with their intended uses, with the needs of people who are homeless and have no other alternatives for storage of personal property, according to one of the motions. Some city leaders have complained that under the 56.11 regulation, homeless encampments are merely taken down in one place and set up soon after another location nearby. in an effort to set up a storage facility near an elementary school in San Pedro failed last year in a mid-uproar protest. The issue, at the request of LAPD's Harbor Division, will be revisited soon. Kervortuk said, with the police station in San Pedro offered as a potential location. Englander and Bassanio are calling for sanitation and police department officials to give an overview of which aspects of the ordinance have worked, which aspects have not worked as well, and the effect that the ordinance has had on the Los Angeles city communities. In the second motion on the issue, Englander says he wants to look into making HOPE teams, which are made up of police officers who work as sanitation workers to remove and clean up encampments, areas that are legally set up permanent LAPD program. Similar complaints also have been made about city ordinance that allows people to live out of recreational vehicles. The city earlier this year began enforcing an ordinance that bans living out of cars and recreational vehicles along residential streets, near parks, schools, and daycares. RVs used for dwelling purposes can only be parked in commercial and industrial areas. With this ordinance set to expire next year, Englander and Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez said it should be evaluated. Meanwhile, Englander and Councilman Bob Blumenfeld, whose district will include the West Valley, are looking into other methods to regulate recreational vehicles. In their motion, the council members are calling in for an analyst of the best practices and ordinance of other local municipalities regarding the permitting and restricting and or banning RV parking on public streets. Since 2010, city officials have responded to complaints about RVs by posting signs on certain streets to prevent parking of an oversized vehicle during the early mornings from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. When oversized parking restriction signs are installed, however, the vehicles often move nearby streets until they are also posted. The motion reads, communities continue to experience a proliferation of these vehicles, and the current programs have provided a piecemeal approach on the problem. I think it is really disheartening because one thing I gotta say about this, a lot of folks have to realize you got a lot of ordeals that are happening right now in that area of Los Angeles. High regulations, high taxes. You don't want to make it cost you an arm and a leg to make a living. Alright? That's for one. And two, California, one person agreed that California lawmakers should be thrown in jail for treason. But, and of course, there's federal mass immigrations as well, illegal immigration. So this is really shame because it's happening in a lot of places, and I see it even in Fort Lauderdale, even areas of Salt Lake City. And one thing I tell folks here about it, you guys got folks, even people who are going to camp, use discretion and finesse. Don't make yourselves too obvious. That's the problem. You got to be really more methodical in those areas. But one thing for sure, the people in Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, need to get their act together as well, and even tell the state of California, hey, some of your rules and regulations and your taxations are too damn frivolous. We can see that also. It has nothing to do with capitalism, my friends. All right? Open free market capitalism has nothing to do with that. So don't even throw that at me. It will ricochet back at you. I guarantee you that. But when you have government trying to know best, trying to condemn folks and take people's homes and all that because they haven't paid their taxes on their property, which is totally unconstitutional as far as I'm concerned, they are the parasites of society. But even the people out there, like even where I'm here, not all the homeless folks are bad. You got some good people in there who are distorted. Some have been traumatized. I had one person out here I knew for almost 10 years. I just recently heard a claim that he was from Chicago and he witnessed both his wife and son shot to death, got murdered in front of his eyes, and still a cold case. That's why I'm screaming a lot. He's a good-hearted man. He's totally shocked, totally traumatized. So you have to look at everyone here is a lot different, is differently. That's all I do. That's why I don't go attacking homeless people. Sometimes I'm just tired of shysters, because you got your shysters in that realm, and you got others that really do need help. And this is right here is just a real shame. What's going on in Los Angeles is another prime example of what's occurring. It's just one area. It's happening a lot of places, not just the country, but the world. All right, enough of that. I'd be ranting all day. You told me to shut up. All right, finally, this came from Lou Rockwell. It was written by Tom Woods. The Libertarian Pushback came out today. It says here, since nobody in his right mind sympathizes with Nazis, of all people, everyone is cheering at the example of being of various organizations that are losing various online services essential to their survival. I'm not suggesting that we must shed tears for these groups, only that we be aware that there are people who have long to shut down far more voices than just these obvious, odious ones, and that we might want to keep a close eye at events continue to unfold. For example, a bunch of right-wing websites, including a 50-year-old Catholic publication I myself wrote for in the old days, but eventually told me I was no longer welcome, recently received a sinister letter from ProPublica, a left-wing site. Some places shun me for being too right-wing, others for not being right-wing enough. Such my interesting life. The letter read, I'm a reporter at ProPublica, a nonprofit investigative newsroom in New York. I'm contacting you to let you know that we are including your website on a list of sites that have been designated as hate or extremist by the American Defamation League. The American Defamation League? Or actually it should be the Anti-Defamation League or the Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, we got two quack groups, right? We have identified all the tech platforms that are supporting the website on the ADL and SPLC's list. We would like to ask you a few questions. 1. Do you disagree with the designation of your website as hate or extremist? Why? 2. We identified 2 tech companies on our website, PayPal and AdPeak. Can confirm you that you receive funds from your relationship with those tech companies. How would those loss of those funds affect your operation, and how will we be able to replace them? 3. Have you been shut down by other tech companies for being an alleged hate or extremist website? Which companies? 4. Many people opposed to sites like yours currently pressuring tech companies to seize a relationship with them. What is your view of this campaign? Why? Our deadline is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Thank you, Laura Kirsten. Well, okay then. I realize I will now be indulged with reminders that private companies may do business with anyone they wish, a principle all too few people consistently hold. I might add, but this is beside the point. Even if we concede the legality of discontinuing vital service to dissent voices, I am still allowed to discuss as an interesting, disturbing cultural phenomenon that all dissent would do well prepare for. Because you think the left is going to stop with demonizing only neo-Nazis, you haven't been paying attention. To the left ideologues, the definition of a Nazi is contemptuously broad. In any case, for what it is worth, the remnant responded this way. Dear Ms. Kirshner, in reply to your email, the remnant, see below, be advised as follows. 1. The allegation that the remnant, a 50-year-old Catholic newspaper, is a hate group. According to this SPLC, a left-wing propaganda organization known for its reckless accusations against conservative groups, it is as laughable as it's malicious. Indeed, the SPLC equates the teachings of the Catholic Church itself with hate. 2. Here is the remnant's most recent response to this ridiculous accusation. The response was prompted by a local TV news story by a reporter who failed to mention that her supposedly corroborative source, a sociologist at a Catholic university, in fact told her that the remnant is not a hate group. Contrary to the SPLC's libelous claim, the sociologist is quite dismayed by this evidently malicious omission. 3. We hereby advise that we expect you to preserve all records of communications of any kind, electronic form or otherwise, between you and your organization, PayPal and AdPeeps. We will consider those records relevant to any interference with the remnants' long-standing relationship with those companies, and we will view their destruction as spoliation of evidence. We include in this demand any records of any of telephone contacts, including notes of conversations with representatives of PayPal or AdPeeps. Sincerely, Christopher A. Ferreira, pro bono legal counsel for the remnant, admitted New York, New Jersey, and South Carolina. I'm not necessarily endorsing the legal strategy outlined by Ferreira, who, unlike me, is an expert here, but FYI, I included portions of this as a subsequent commentary. This is a blatant attempt to intimidate PayPal and other web services to ending their contractual relations with the targeted groups for no other reason than they are falsely accused of hate or extremism by SPLC or ADL. Again, neither Kirshner nor her fellow investigative journalists conducted any independent investigation of the hate group designations, which they merely collated in a spreadsheet form. An update to the article admitted in response to ProPublica's inquiries, PayPal spokesman Justin Higgs said in a statement that the company strives to consensuously assess assets activity and review accounts to report it to us. That is, PayPal states that after multiple contacts from ProPublica is reviewing the website of the group, ProPublica has reported, based on a mere rote repackaging of SPLC ADL's already well-known defamatory falsehood. Yes, they're a bunch of quacks, I could tell you that. Should PayPal or other service provider terminate its contractual relationship with any targeted groups, including the remnant, based on ProPublica's sham investigative journalism, there might be a viable cause of action against ProPublica and its reporters for torturous interference with contractual relations. While formulations of this sort vary from state to state, the basic elements as summarized by the Corner Legal Information Institute are: 1. That a valid contract exists. 2. That defendant had knowledge of the contract. 3. That defendant acted intentionally and improperly. And 4. That plaintiff was injured by defendant's actions. I would suggest that every victim of potential victim of ProPublica's witch hunt, as well as similar operations conducted by other elements of the FNIC and LTPD, consult legal counsel possible claim for torturous interference with contractual relations. What we are witnessing is beginning an effort to chill controversial speech, with the threat of withdrawal of essential online services hanging like a sword of Damocles over the respective heads of various right-wing organizations. Given that people behind this effort at intimidation are not known for their careful distinction, i.e. Newt Gingrich equals Donald Trump equals Pat Buchanan equals Ron Paul equals Grandpa equals Stormfront. There's a good reason for concern among dissidents of all kinds. Protesting that you hold no fascist views will scarcely satisfy the witch hunters. Why aren't such protests precisely what we would expect from a wily fascist? For example, Brandon Navon, a Ron Paul delegate from Massachusetts and the head of Software Engineers for Liberty, just lost his job after Antifa tweeted at his employers that his ordinary libertarian with no unusual views to speak was a Nazi. Thank you, you stupid, dumbed down pieces of garbage that represent that particular group. I'll tell you one thing for sure. Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin are bend over bobs to the banksters, okay? They're the banksters, B-I-T-C-H-E-S. You figure it out, you bunch of illiterates, ignorant pieces of fools. And I apologize for that. Meanwhile, certain libertarians believe that urgent task at the moment is to assure the world that we ourselves are not fascist, as there could be such thing as a libertarian national socialist. Interesting, right? With many great young Ron Paul supporters switched to Bernie Sanders in 2016, I didn't blame left libertarians. More foolishly still, head up a petition reaffirming libertarian opposition to socialism, which the implication that non-signers must be crypto-socialists. That would have been pointless melodrama. As of today, with the anti-fascism pledge, we are all supposed to sign. Please, I'll wipe my butt on it. Just like any neo-Nazi sympathizer. Yes, I am an equal opportunity insulter. I dealt with that pledge on Facebook, and it was a greater length this issue of my email newsletter. The chilling effect of baseless left-wing accusations of fascism and Nazi will certainly have the consequence of suppressing discussion of a wide variety of important and/or controversial topics, and rendering many people, particularly libertarians, into harmless debating society nerds arguing over whether raising the minimum wage is racist or the Export-Import Bank should exist. Although judging from numerous libertarians I encounter online, I doubt we notice the difference. It is going to be necessary to build parallel institutions, payment systems, internet servers of various types, media outlets, and more that lay outside the reach of those who would punish a dissident voice. One of those has to be homeschooling. I devoted 2 years of my life to creating hundreds of videos and audio files in history, economics, and government, so that school-aged children might discover that there is in fact more than one way of understanding the world. We used it in the Woods household, and I strongly recommend it to you. It's self-taught, therefore easy on parents and education on you, and I would have to kill for it. There's a website, www.ronpaulhomeschool.com. We have to start somewhere, not having our kids brainwashed that seems as good a place as any. That is absolutely true. So, a lot of these individuals, these movements, and these organizations are exposing themselves to be charlatans, subversified movements, entities, and organizations. Yes, liberty-minded people need to push back on these vampires, or psychic vampires to be exact, because they are dumbed down, pathetic, and have the attributes of the Jim Jones syndrome. Yes, you're diagnosed with that, drinking the Kool-Aid on steroids. Only way to fight this is protecting, defending our Bill of Rights culture. And the information war is a lot more thorough than shooting it out. So folks, don't get mad. Be inspired. Throw it back at their faces. Give them a lot more than they can chew on. Go out there with your megaphones. If you see them at these rallies calling you a fascist or that, and start blasting them. Ridicule them with intellectual ammunition. The truth will set you free, and it will infuriate them. You know why? Because they have no merit. That's right. That's all I gotta say about these subversified movements and synthetic organizations. And it's a shame because, yes, I do despise fascism. I do despise communism. I defy all forms of tyranny. You got a problem with that? Too bad. Because I can speak my mind anywhere I want. If you don't like it, tough. That's all I have to say. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting I may want to check out, whatever you do, please address this with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, or Patreon.com/LuckyLucky3 if you want to be a patron, a donor, and all that good stuff. That would be greatly appreciated. Furthermore, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or to CryptidFans, LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. Alright. That's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.